The Walking Dead Surrounded. This is a game by Button Shy Games. So, as usual for this publisher, it comes in a plastic pouch and it is made of 18 cards plus a rule book. And in this case, we even get a scenario book. This game also, at least my review copy, also came with an expansion called Under Siege with 6 extra cards. But let's talk about the base game first. It is a solitaire and or cooperative game. I played only solo and frankly I don't see this game working very well as cooperative with multiple players, but that's just my guess. You let me know what you think. You shuffle these 18 cards, and these cards on one side show locations. They always have the name. They also may have other icons that can be used for scoring or for scenarios. There may be people or walkers there. There may be other effects, and sometimes a red band that reminds you that some sides of a card are particularly dangerous for humans. On the other side of these cards, you have different combinations of walkers. The number of X's represents how many walkers are actually there, or their strength points, if you so will, meaning that there are some that have 2, like that one. And then we have humans that may have this symbol here represents like a regular human, although some are truly regular, some also have an ability. And then we have leaders represented by that star. Leaders score you more points at the end of the game if they're next to a lot of humans, but too many leaders in the same location, ooh, that's not good. They get very territorial. You shuffle the 18 cards to set up the game. You make a pile with all the cards locations side up. Then you simply draw the first card and you place it on the table representing the first location. In this case, we start with the wilderness. And then you draw from the top of the deck and you flip the card to the walker's human side, and you place it so that the walkers are adjacent to that location. That is how you set up the game. Then simply you will take turn after turn drawing cards and placing them and forming your tableau. And again, if you're playing co-op, you'll take turns doing that, and I guess you can discuss, but again, it feels like there's going to be a lot of interaction and maybe a lot of downtime and bickering. As a solo game, I take a card and decide what to do. Now, before I should actually pick it up like I did, I can look at the card on the top of the deck, but I need to decide if I'm gonna explore, meaning place it in my tableau as a location, or occupy, so flipping it to the other side without knowing exactly what combination of walkers and humans I'm gonna get. Suppose I decide to explore, so I take a card and I need to place it next to an open side of one of these occupation cards, meaning that you're going to form a checkerboard so that each side of a zombie human card will touch the side of a location and vice versa. This would be illegal placement. When I'm exploring, placing a new location, I also then need to immediately draw another card and place a zombie next to it, so a walker next to it. So right now, after I explored that one, I could place this one here or this one here. For the time being, I want fewer zombies around my location, so I'm going to do that instead. So one option, when I take my turn, draw a card, use it as a location, and then add an infestation if I can. If you cannot place that one because, say, there are no short sides that I could place my new card attached to the location I just placed, then I can place it anywhere that is legal. Or instead of placing a location and then a possible infestation, I occupy, which means I draw the card and I flip it this way, and now I need to place it adjacent to a location. See, for example, right now, it wouldn't be so great for me to attach it next to these ones, to these two sides, because I'm adding more walkers. Ideally, I want a lot of humans and not so many walkers. Here, I get a human and a walker attached to that, so maybe I'll place it here. I also have a nice leader there. If location cards have symbols like that, they will score points if they're completely surrounded, so I'm gonna try to do that. You know what, however, I feel good, I wanna explore more, so I'm gonna, oh, I don't know, that's so good to explore, but I'm gonna explore, which means I need to also add an infestation card. It must go there because it can be placed next to a side of the card that I just drew, and then I decide to occupy more. So now I'm gonna draw from this side. Oh, I don't want to place it here. Now, when you're placing humans and they have an effect such as this one, you can activate it. Basically, once a human gets in contact with a location, otherwise, either because you just placed it as an occupation action, or when you were infesting, then maybe it just happened that, hey, when I placed that one there, for example, this look effect became adjacent to that one, I could have activated it. So again, you activate the human effects when they become adjacent to locations. Look, it allows me to peek at the other side of the top card. Burn allows me to destroy a card, meaning I remove it from the tableau and I place it back in the deck, and it can get on top or bottom. And there is a move action also that lets me move a card around the card where it is already, move a card around the location where it is already staying. So for example, with the move action, I couldn't take this one and put it all the way down here, but I could put it here. Not a good choice, but I could if I just triggered the move action. Now, this is the general idea, and you're sort of forming your tableau, your checkerboards of locations and humans until the deck is exhausted. At the end of the game, to score points, I suppose that we are here like this. Booyah. At the end of the game, to score points, you check each location. In each location, there's going to be a battle in which each X by the zombies, owned by the zombies, will kill a human being. And so, for example, here we have 3 humans and 2 of those, so 2 of these people die. After this battle, each human being is worth 1 point. Now, remember leaders... Oh, let's look at this battle here. In this battle here... Oh, that's bad. If you have 2 leaders in the same location, they kill each other. They really don't like that. Suppose, let's be a little more positive. Come on. So many leaders, so few locations. And that's actually one... Suppose that this is the situation. There you go. So, don't put 2 leaders in the same location. After a battle, again, this walker destroys that human. That human is worth 1 point. Leaders that are still there worth 1 point, plus 1 point per human. So right now that will be worth 2. This will be worth 2 points. If a location is surrounded, you get the benefit from the icons there, which is usually 1 point. But then we're talking about scenarios, and basically the scenario book gives you rules such as you need to collect a certain amount of medicine or a certain amount of fuel or things like that. The scenarios are just restrictions, basically. So for each location, there's a battle. The surviving humans and leaders will give you points, icons will give you points, effects will give you points, and you're trying to score as many points as possible. Check in here what your score was. As for the Under Siege expansion, 6 extra cards that you're shuffling with these other ones. Another icon that can be used for scoring and for scenarios, different things, including a new ability swap, and it's kind of like what you think it is. You simply swap cards around a single location. And then we have mercenaries. They don't count as humans, so my assumption is you don't count them as humans for points at the end of the game. But what they do is they do kill all of the walkers in a location, and they give you 1 point for each walker that they eliminate. And so, if this was the case, and I place the mercenary like so, and I'm scoring that location, I'll score a point for the icon because it is surrounded, it hasn't been overrun. Overrun is when you have more walkers than humans. 1 point for that. The mercenary destroys these 2 walkers, scoring 2 points, and then that person gives me 1 point because he's still around. So this is how you play the game. Form your tableau, score points, try to manipulate things so that the walkers are not overwhelming too many locations, although they will win some and lose some. The point is that, well, try not to let them win too many. At the end, you check at least I do, to separate the expansion from the basic game based on the numbers here. The Walking Dead Surrounded. As I said, this to me is a solitaire game. I don't think that playing it cooperative would increase the joy. And as a solitaire game, it's a perfectly fun, simple, very light game. You're gonna play it a couple of times and it's gonna be enjoyable. The first you're gonna do terrible. Then you're probably gonna start scoring around like 14, 15 points, which is pretty good because it gives you a challenge of like, well, I'm not sucking too much, but I'm not excellent yet, and so you'll be trying more. But there's no doubt that the replay value is not huge, that the game starts feeling fairly samey after not too long. But again, it's a small game you can bring with you. You can play quickly as you're waiting for whatever is the next thing that you're gonna go to, as long as you have a surface, and that's perfectly fine. And I don't know, play it in a cafe. People will stop by and say, "Ooh, The Walking Dead, I've seen the TV show." I'm like, well, I read the comic book before it was cool. Anyways, it's simple, it's light, it's quick. It has some decisions that are pretty interesting, and of course there is a luck element in, well, what's on the other side of those cards. I guess you could technically memorize what combination is here, but who's gonna do that? Don't do it. But there is a luck element because of that, because of what is the first location, which locations will go in a certain way. But there's also, again, enough strategy to keep you, or at least to keep me, interested for, again, a couple of plays. I tried the scenarios. I didn't think that those really change the experience much, because some of the things that you do there, oh, you need to collect gas, you need to collect medicines. You're gonna try to do them anyways because that stuff gives you points, so that's pretty neat. You can use it. Another thing actually that is good, you can have some different levels of difficulty. Again, I didn't think that the expansion changes gameplay dramatically. And I would say the same for the scenarios. The scenarios don't change that dramatically. The expansion does increase the replay value, but again, not for the long time. I like the fact of playing with more cards, makes it a little more complex. Of course, the scoring level then is different, because with more cards you can score more, so you need more to do well. I like the extra things. It just so happens that maybe some of the abilities, the mercenaries, you may never see them because you may just draw the cards and use them for the location. The swap ability, you will not always use it. Again, I used it so rarely. If this was just 6 extra cards, I think they would have increased the experience in a very similar way than these new abilities. Again, there's a random element in which abilities will actually come into play and which ones will not. That's why some of the scenarios, like, don't use a certain ability, I'm like, I barely use it anyways. So, it's simple, it's light, it's fun. Between scenarios and the expansion, it'll last a little longer than otherwise. But in any case, it's very small and very simple, and the replay value is not huge. But again, while it lasts, is a pretty entertaining little solitaire game. And this is my assessment of The Walking Dead Surrounded.